Data pipelines often start with a simple amount of data. What was once just a small CSV file that just needed to be stored somewhere has grown to get a little bit out of hand. Let's imagine your scenario. You've got some data, you've downloaded it from the internet, it's on your local machine as a CSV file, and you've written a nice Python script that uses something like pandas to transform that data, clean out some empty rows and columns, and tidy it up so you've just got the bits you need. Now you want to put that into a database where every time you download an updated CSV file, you can store it all in one place. But at the moment, you're doing everything manually, which may be okay if you're not having to do it very often. But as you keep doing more and more, the data grows, and all of a sudden you're now downloading these CSV files every single day. And you're thinking, what could I possibly do to make these work better together? At the moment, I've got all these fantastic tools, but they don't really work very well together. Now, the first thing you might be thinking is a cron job. You could have the cron job run your Python script, but that doesn't get the data, so maybe you can introduce a curl command into your cron job that can download the data, then the Python script can automatically detect that and run it. But now you've run into the issue that you run some SQL queries. So maybe you could bundle that into the Python script, but if the Python script fails and because of the queries, but it generates, you kind of want to break that up so you can easily spot. And then if the cron job fails, how will you know it fails? At the moment, when you're running it manually, if it fails, which it does do from time to time, you know that it's failed because you were running it manually. But if you're running it nightly now, how do you get around that? Now that is a problem that a lot of data engineers run into, or people who don't even realize that they are effectively data engineers, but they have a data pipeline. Getting these data tools to talk to each other is the difficult bit. And there's a solution to this, and it's called orchestration. Now you may be wondering, what is orchestration? Now, think of orchestration or orchestras as the piece in the middle. I like to think of it in sort of the music term. You think of a music orchestra, you've got all your different instruments, but without an orchestra, without the conductor in your orchestra, they would just be playing at random times, at the wrong time, they'd come in at different points. It would not sound very good. You need someone in the middle to coordinate all of these different sounds so they sound good. Or in this case, you need a tool in the middle that can coordinate all of these different tools so that they work together. And that's what an orchestrator will do for your data pipeline. Now, you might be thinking, but I can just run a cron job. What does an orchestrator do that's beyond just a cron job? And I hear you, I understand. You think, why do I need to complicate this? You know, an orchestrator is another thing I have to manage, but an orchestrator gives you observability and insight into those different stages of your data pipeline that you didn't even realize. For example, you can set up error handling. So let's say you use something like Slack or even just a simple thing like email, and you can have it email you or send you a Slack message when there's an error. And because you're running each part inside of your orchestrator as its own step, it means when something fails, you'll know about it. So you can easily find out, oh, okay, it failed to write to the SQL database. That means there must be an error with it. Maybe the database has gone offline. Rather than just saying the data pipeline has broken and you have to then go and figure out what part of it broke. Was it the fact that it didn't download the data in the first place? Is it the Python script? Is it something to do with saving the file at the end for the SQL query? That's what the orchestrator does. So let me show you an example of what you're maybe working with at the moment and what you could be working with an orchestrator to help smooth out the process. Now, I've taken those individual steps that we talked about earlier, and I've stuck them into an orchestrator, in this case Kestra, where we can see each of the steps. Now we can use this topology view to help us visualize what's going on. As you can see here, we've got daily schedule, so this will automatically run. We haven't got to do anything. It's going to get that CSV file and download it. It's going to hand it over to the Python task kit that's going to use pandas to clean up the data and produce a new CSV file. And then we've got a number of Postgres tasks here to be able to then actually use that cleaned CSV file and put it into a database. We can also have a little look at what that might look like in YAML as well. So you can see we've got our trigger here, which is just a cron job, just like you would if you were doing it as a cron job on your local machine. We're able to download that CSV file. We've got our Python code, in this case, directly inside of the workflow orchestration logic, but we could put it into its own dedicated Python file if we wanted. Once we've done that, as you can see, it is going to produce cleaned.csv, make that a little bit bigger. And then underneath, we can then create the table if it doesn't exist for the Postgres database. We can load the data in using a very handy expression to just dynamically pass the data rather than having to write a load of glue code. In this case, it can just handle it for us, which is great. We can focus on the individual steps, not having to stick it all together. And then we can just run a query at the end to check it all worked. Now, the convenient thing here is I've got all my Postgres credentials as a plugin default. So those 3 different tasks know which database they're connecting to, and they have the correct authentication details to do so. So if I run this quickly, we'll be able to see that happen in action. So we'll see it can download the CSV file. We can see under outputs that it has in fact downloaded it. I can in fact preview the file so I know it's correct. I've got a lot of good visibility here. We can see with the Python task, it's also produced that cleaned CSV file, which is done to just clean up the data, make it ready for that database. And then if we go back to the Gantt view, we can see it's actually completed it. So we've got the Postgres one there as well. And we can actually see if I turn the log levels off, we can see some of those queries it ran. Now here's the nice bit. If I go to outputs, we can actually view what it did. So we can see it added 100 rows. We can see that it also ran a query and got some data back. So we can see that data here without having to go and do anything ourselves. It's all automated as part of this. Now we can take that a step further too. I mentioned about what if it fails? How do I know? I don't want to have to keep logging in to my dashboard and find out. Well, you don't have to, because here I've got an error set up so that if any of these tasks fail at any point, it will notify me using this Slack plugin. Now, we don't have to use Slack. We could use anything we want. Email, WhatsApp, whatever it might be, you can get it to send it directly to wherever you're looking. Now, as you can see here, we've got the errors block here, which is going to handle that. We can put any tasks we like in here, and they're going to run whenever any of the normal tasks fail. So in this case, I've just got a Slack message, but you could have some cleanup steps as well if you wanted. Now, I've just got a Slack message. I'm going to let myself know that it's this flow that's failed with this certain execution, so I can easily go in and have a look, figure out what went wrong, and so on. Now, I've actually heard some pretty cool use cases where people are feeding the error message directly into an LLM, maybe something like ChatGPT or Google Gemini, and they're using that to help them generate a solution as part of the Slack notification. So when they get that message, it will let them know, hey, something failed. I think this is what we need to do to fix it. So you don't even have to start figuring out what the solution is. It's already had a head start. So there's cool things you can do here with that errors block where you can have it run a few steps to sort of help you get ahead and get your pipeline back on track. Now, we can actually see here that it has in fact failed. I had some invalid Python code inside of the Python step, and as we can see here in the Slack, it's given me a notification, told me the pipeline failed, company.team after orchestration, the execution ID, so I can easily take that. If I go to this execution, I can easily go, it's this one. I can also search for execution, so it's giving me the execution ID. I can take that, I can easily paste it in here, and as you can see, comes up. So I can now go and investigate what's happened, which conveniently with the logging here, I can easily click in here and see, I just wrote some bad Python code, but that's easily fixed. I haven't got to go digging around looking for those logs. They're right here. And if I want to get other log levels, I can see those too. If I want to see like the trace level, for example, too. Making your data tools work together doesn't have to be difficult. Using an orchestrator helps to glue everything together and give you observability and insight into what's actually going on. So I'd highly recommend checking out a tool like Kestra if you're in a situation where you've got all these different tools and you're struggling to get them to work together. The convenient thing is Kestra's got over 1,600 plugins, so even if you're not using the tools that I was using, there's a good chance that it does support the ones you have. Let me know in the comments below what you think. What kind of tools are you using to be able to glue everything together? I'd love to hear in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and make sure to subscribe to the Kestra YouTube channel.